So I start riding down, and then Craig, like, literally botches his whole run, catches up to me. He's like, "Hey, are you sure you know where you're going?" And I was like, yeah, no, I know where I'm going. And little did I know I was going to the cliffs of the canyon, which is like 300 feet to just straight flat, okay? Like groomer. So I was in a bad spot. He said, "Hey, let me show you a line." Took me over to Elf Chutes for the first time and saved my life. So, thank you, Craig.
Thanks, Marcel. First of all, it's an honor to be here with all of you. I'm not from the Pacific Northwest, and I've had a couple weeks since the book came out, and I've got to go to a lot of gatherings similar to this, not quite this rad, and not quite this big. And I always look out at the crowd, and I tell them, I say, and I'm telling you right now, I don't know you, but I know you. And that's what community is all about, and that's what the Shred community has done for me, and I think for all of us here. So it's pretty special to be part of something like that. And Craig was, for those of you, few people who won't admit it if you don't know who Craig was, but he was like the Michael Jordan of snowboarding in our era. I mean, if you were a snowboarder, you knew who Craig Kelly was, and chances are you were inspired by him. You wanted to ride powder like him. You wanted to boost a method air like him. And you probably had something torn out from a magazine on your wall. And fast forward to basically 15 years after he was killed tragically in an avalanche, I was in a lift line in Utah. And I had my Craig Kelly is my co-pilot sticker on the nose of my board. And there was a kid in line. I say kid, he was probably somewhere in his 20s. His gear was pretty thrashed, and his board was chipped up, and it looked like somebody who would know better. And he looked down, and he just looked at me with all sincerity and said, "Who's Craig Kelly?" And it was like, for me, first of all, it was like just ripped out my heart, because he was that huge to all of us. I mean, for us, it would be like going to a pickup basketball game somewhere wearing a Michael Jordan jersey, and someone saying, "Who's Michael Jordan?" I mean, that's how big he was to all of us, and an inspiration. So at that moment right there,
Got it, Eric. Yeah.
I decided I wanted to tell the story. So I went home to our storage unit and dug back into the bowels of our family storage, and there was a cardboard box that just said Craig. And it was all of his old magazines, and I went to his memorial service and sat in the front row, and I recorded all the stories in 2003. And that was the basis for the beginning of the book. And then I also had a lot of questions involving his death, because when I wrote the stories about his life, everybody said, let's celebrate Craig Kelly. And I just thought, yeah, we have celebrated him, but I also have these questions, and I thought to come full circle and really honor him, he needed the whole story told. So that's how the book began, and again, I'm just honored to be here with all of you, my extended Shred family. Thank you, and I'm going to hand it off to Bass.
Driving down here today, I didn't know exactly what I was going to say, and getting to this contest, the last time I was here at a contest was 1989, and those contests got started with Bob Barcy. Jeff Fulton was involved in that with Craig, and that's the reason those contests started happening here back then. As I look around here right now, this is absolutely amazing.
I know.
And I think Craig did his job. It's absolutely amazing.
I'm not sure if we would have a Craig Kelly story if it wasn't for this guy standing right here, Jeff Fulton. We were a bunch to kids riding around, teenagers riding around Mount Vernon, kind of lost in the late 70s, early 80s, and the Fulton Bike Shop was a place for all of us to meet every day and basically get into trouble. And Jeff was the older brother that a lot of us didn't have. Jeff's father was a father figure to us, a lot of us that didn't have fathers around. And I don't think there would have been a Craig Kelly story if it hadn't been for this gentleman right here. I'd like to thank Jeff Fulton and his family. I think he's a huge part of this story. Thank you, Jeff.
Craig was a kid that hung out like Tony, and a lot of the kids hung out at my parents' bike shop. They owned a bike shop in Mount Vernon, Fulton Schwinn Cycle League. And if it wasn't for my mom and dad, none of this would have happened. And because they listened to a kid that had this crazy idea and said, hey, there's this thing that's a snowboard, and it's really kind of cool and fun. And so I ended up buying one, which is sitting right over here, that Burton Back Hill. Yeah, so I bought this first board and was riding that around and thought it was really cool. And I had skied before, and I had ski buddies, but they wouldn't give up skiing to try snowboarding. So I had another idea, and I was like, I couldn't get any of my buddies to ski with me or go snowboarding with me, and I couldn't get anyone to spend like $90 to buy one of these things. So I convinced my parents. I was like, hey, if you got some of those in the shop and just rented them, people could figure out what snowboarding is. But I really had a motive was that if I had a few extra boards laying around, I'd make some people go snowboarding with me, because I wanted someone to go snowboarding with me. So it was these guys that I drove them around to all the BMX races, because I was old enough to have a license and they were all younger. So I drove them around in the summer to all the BMX races, and so then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to load you guys up in the van and grab those boards, and we're going to go try snowboarding. So that's how that happened. And so it's really, I'm really thankful to my parents, and also to just to the Mount Vernon kids and crew that were there and embraced it and went with it, and followed the dream. And snowboarding is it saved my life, and it's one of the most important things I've ever done, and it's made some of the best friends I've ever had, and it's kept me here. And so I know that everyone here probably has that same passion and feeling, and just keep that, embrace it, and don't let it go. And all you youngsters, keep riding, because you're the next Mount Baker Hardcore. All you youngsters, you are the one. You're gonna keep it and carry it on, carry that torch.
Well said. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, if it wasn't for Jeff, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. You guys are carrying the torch, just like Craig did, this guy we're talking about. Craig was the epitome of the sport, of the spirit of it, and you guys get to do it. You guys get to carry it on, and it's so cool to see the stoke in this place right now, right this second. Yeah. There was only a couple of us back in the day doing that, and now you can come up to almost any resort, especially when the weather's good. Bluebird Day, 2 feet of snow, and that's what you hear. It keeps going. It keeps going wherever we're at. And you guys, you are the next gen. So tear it up. Thank you, PacWest. Thank you, Craig, for just,
Thanks, Marcel.
It's so much. It's big. It just keeps growing. It just keeps going. Thank you. You get a chance to touch this. This is what you need. This is the Holy Grail. This is the Holy Grail. Yeah, we'll just start bringing it around. Everybody can touch it. It's the first Burton snowboard on the West Coast up in this neck of the woods. We embrace Mount Baker Hardcore, embraces Ski Acres, embraces Hyack, Mission Ridge. We're all part of the Pacific Northwest. And, you know, the sport has carried on. You guys are shredding on boards nowadays. Oh my goodness. But anyway, if you get a chance to catch a little taste of this, just for a second, you know, we're not going to be here forever, you know. We're not going to be here forever. The spirit of it will be, yeah, for sure. Thank you, Marcel.
Go, come on. Bring it. Before I got emotional for a minute, I forgot to say that when I decided to do this, I actually contacted Craig's family, and I contacted his sister Gillian, who was on Facebook, and I'd been following her for years, and wanted to make sure that they had that they were okay with going forward with a story about Craig and telling the story. And then I started contacting people like Jeff. Ultimately, Tony was like my link to Craig's neighborhood gang, bike gang, Bass, all of these people that I was able to interview and just came forth with their memories. So again, thank you for that. I totally spaced to thank everybody, but they're all part of the story, even if they're not mentioned in the story.
Yeah, once again, thank you, Eric. Thank you, Bass. Thank you, Tony, Fulton, Swanny. Thanks, guys. Give a big round of applause.
It was tricky. It was tricky, let me tell you. No, you guys are lucky you have easy boards to learn on.